Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Big J's World. Today we have Allie, who is a indie author, new indie author. She has a book coming out. So if you want to go ahead and tell the people a little bit about the book.
Awesome. Well, thank you. My name's Allie. This is my first book coming out. It's called Faeborn. It's a little baby I've been working on for about 3 years now. It is about a girl who has accidentally fallen across the realm from the mortal realm over to the Feywilds, and she doesn't know how, but she wakes up and it's like, oh my gosh, now everything around me can kill me, and I don't really know how I got here, but I would really like to get home again. And so she is traversing this realm and trying to find people who are going to help her. Mind you, I pulled a lot of inspiration from Celtic lore and the original ideas and folklore of the Fae, where some were helpful and some were tricksters and things like that. So she has to sort through who she can actually trust and who she can't. So as she's trying to find Fae who can help her, as well as she has discovered she has a familiar and is learning why that happened and going through that process, discovering secrets about herself. She discovers secrets about the Fae that even the Fae don't know about throughout this process, and which makes her life in danger. And her only goal is wanting to get home. But now she has this trouble and this danger coming in her direction that she was not even prepared for.
Wow. So, was fantasy the genre that you fell into when becoming an author? Were you like a big fantasy reader, or is it something that, hey, maybe let me just dip my toes into becoming an author?
Fantasy is my favorite genre. I read a lot of romantasy, but I don't limit myself to romantasy. I love most forms of fantasy. I grew up on Anne McCaffrey and Piers Anthony. So I've always loved being able to read and delve into different worlds. And I have a really vivid imagination. And I'll basically escape into that book and put myself there. And I love being able to do that. And I wanted to be able to do that for others as well. I always had these cool stories going through my head, and I just wanted to share that.
So, obviously, this is the first book that you're publishing. Have you written any other stories before until settling onto this book?
I have two that are in the works right now. One being the sequel to this one being dystopian futuristic sci-fi. That's probably going to be a while from now because this one's going to be a trilogy and I want to finish this first. And then I have others that through the years I've dabbled on but never finished. I've learned a lot of things through those, as in I started as kind of like just throwing things out there, writing a chapter here and there, not really panzering, but not outlining. And I learned that I cannot do that. And if I want to actually get through the book, I need to outline first and go from there. And once I figured an outline process that works for me and works for how my weird brain works, everything else just fell into place.
So we'll go into the whole process of you outlining in a little bit, but where did your inspiration come from on becoming an author? Did it kind of come from young or?
Always thought it'd be awesome to be an author. I just never thought I'd be able to actually do it. And I reached a point in my life where it was like, you know what? What's holding me back? Why am I not doing it? And so I decided to actually put the effort into figuring out how to do it and finishing the projects I was working on and going forth and trying to pursue that dream.
Awesome. So, excuse me. So when you were younger, did you like write stories, multiple stories like that you kept to yourself? Like what would be one that you written before becoming an author?
So there was one that I had with me and two of my friends in middle school that we were actually co-writing together. And we each had our names that we had gotten in Spanish class. And we each developed a character named that name that we got in Spanish class and wrote our portion from that and created a fantasy character. I was a fire fairy for mine. And it was probably really bad. That was my first real dipping my feet in the water, and it never really went anywhere. It was just something that we did together as friends, but it was really fun to do together. It was something that really brought us closer.
Awesome. Amazing to hear. And obviously you followed through the game,
Mhm.
put out your first book and everything. And I love how both of these books have a different design. So did you design these these covers yourself, or did you reach out and have someone else do it for you?
I design them for the most part myself. I also am lucky enough that both my brother and my sister-in-law are artists, so the parts that I could not figure out myself, I was able to lean on them and get their assistance.
That's awesome. So describe just one, the hardcover. I'm assuming that's the hardcover. Is the wolf?
Yep, this one. And it's actually a fox. That is her from
Oh, all right. And the face on the other one, correct?
the other one is the
Yes.
gateway, the portal
Gateway.
to the Feywild.
They're very stunning books, I have to say. When did you start writing the story for this book?
I started probably about 3 years ago. It started as an idea of what if I'm trying to figure out how much I can give away without giving away the story. What if this involving the Fae were true? And then from that idea, the world grew and continued to grow in my head. And then it was like, okay, this would be a really cool story, but now I got to figure out how to turn this really cool world into a story, and that involves characters. And so then I had to figure out, how I'm going to, where the characters are, how they end up in this environment, how this whole thing happens, and go from there. So it started with the world, and everything else just kind of fell into place.
So it took you 3 years from start to finish to publish a book. So I've heard many different people who I interviewed, different authors I interviewed, that they either love or hate the editing process. So do you love and hate the editing process? And how did that go with, like, all right, I'm done. This is the copy I'm going to stick with?
Every time I edited, it got longer. So I actually wrote the book 3 times. I would start writing and I'd get to a certain point and be like, no, I really need to have this happen instead. But if this happens, then I have to start over. Oh man. Okay, let's hold up a whole new document. So that happened 3 times. And then before I finally finished the first draft. And then once I finished the first draft, I then printed the whole thing out, gave a couple copies to some of my close friends, as well as went through myself and physically went over it, just because having a physical copy gives me a different viewpoint as to just looking at it at my computer. And so I went through it that way. And then when I went back to my computer to put those edits in, I also had notes of, I really need to go in more detail into this, or I forgot to add this, or here's a plot hole here. And so I would add that. And I ended up going through it about probably 2 or 3 more times in that regard. And then when my author copy came in initially, I sent it off to another friend to read through and got more edits in that regard. So the editing itself was the most time-consuming and nerve-wracking part, was when I did not have it and was waiting for someone else's review of it, because the fear was, I think it's good, but what if it's all in my head and it's not? And when I got the messages back of, okay, you need to finish book 2 now, because I can't wait for you. That was very relieving.
I mean, they're not allowed the books, big fantasy fans. Like, they am starting to dabble into fantasy more than before. The only fantasy book that I've read was Fourth Wing, and I tried to read Akatar. Only read the first book, haven't picked it up since. And now it was, I picked it up twice. I picked it up, read the first chapter, threw it under my bed. I got yelled at from my coworkers telling me, how dare you throw that book on your bed, and pick it up and read it. I'm like, fine, I'll read it. Finished it. It was a good story. Was it a story for me? Probably not. She wants to read the second one because it gets better. I've been told to read the second one.
So the first book in Akatar is the entrance fee for everything else. So it's a good book on its own. It's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. However, it's a lot of foreshadowing that you don't really realize that gets opened up in book 2, and a lot of things change. And it's no longer a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It's a completely different set of stuff that's going on, and that's when it really breaks away and really blossoms into its own story. And that's where it really, really becomes amazing, is in book 2 and on.
All right. I've been told by multiple people to read book 2. I'll read book 2. I'll give it another try. So what, are you almost done writing the second book, or is it an editing phase, or where is it at?
I'm done with the outline. I'm done writing Act 1. I'm in the middle of Act 2 for the first draft.
So is book 2 still focusing? Well, you did tell us a little bit about the book, but who are the main characters of the book?
So the main characters are Aura, who is the female main character. We have Galen, who's the male main character. He is the Fae general, disgrace general. And then we also have Aoi, who is her familiar. He's also a Syanok, which is a Fae Celtic fox spirit, very similar to a kitsune. He's got three tails, and he's very snarky, and he's very good at inserting himself into conversations at the worst point in time.
Love it already.
Yes. And so one of the things is he's still kind of young, but because he doesn't really have a mouth, he speaks through your mind. But he doesn't know how to limit that to one person at first. And so he'll go to say something to one person and someone else will be like, I heard that. You're not one way here. So that's was fun to write back and forth with the banter. And specifically the fun back and forth between Aoi and Galen, while Aura's just like,
it's funny. So the familiar is more of the like comedic relief between like tense situations.
yes.
That's awesome. So in book 2, so you're gonna have the same 3 characters in book 2 without giving so much away.
There is a surprise new character in book 2. It picks up pretty much the minute book 1 ends, so you don't really miss anything in that regard. There is foreshadowing that happens in book 1 that reveals who sort of the surprise character in book 2 is, in part, but you don't really figure that out until you get to book 2. And then the things that she goes through in book 1, book 2 is a lot about dealing with that and how she can overcome the trauma that brings and the depression that can lead to, and the feelings of betrayal.
So with writing the first book, was it difficult for you or was it easy for you to do the whole world building of that story?
World building was really fun. I've built my whole magic system. It's realm based. So it all has the basic setup where there is a source and then there's an activator, but it blossoms differently in each realm. So the mortal realm has its version of a source and an activator where we are. And then the Fae realm has a different version that realm has blossomed. And only individuals or denizens of that realm can really use their form of magic for the most part, except for a couple minor things. And therein lies where part of the problem that comes into play.
Did you get like inspiration from like other books to like build that world, build the whole magic system, or did you just create it yourself?
For the most part, I tried to create it myself. I would not be surprised if there's little bits of inspiration that I haven't fully noted that I pulled from other people, just because I read so very much. There's only so much you can do with magic. But one of the things I wanted to do was make sure it was my own magic system and something different than the same old thing that was out there, because I liked the draw of having that something different in that regard. And I was willing to go through the process of creating how that worked.
Right. So when you're not writing, what books do you read? What's your current read? Who are you reading right now?
Several. So right now I'm finishing up the audiobook of Lightbringer, which is right here, which is painful. So I go through in short stints. I am working on the Conquering, or the Slaying of the Vampire Conqueror. And then I also just started an Indian novel, which is the one that I've been doing through my book mug series, which is The Secret of Eden by Kaylee Seitz.
Assuming most of your shelf is all fantasy books. Right.
I prefer fancy books. However, I take what I can get. I'm a sucker for a sprayed edge, not going to lie. If I see a really pretty sprayed edge on a book that I've never seen before, it very well may end up in my basket.
I mean, it's pretty.
I know.
I have that.
This one is actually the special edition of Red Rising, even though I had the original, because I couldn't say no.
I mean, why would you say no?
Gorgeous.
Did you see the book for Firebound and Furybound? I don't know if you have that one.
Don't have it. It's on my list to get. Trying to finish at least one of the books I'm in the middle of.
I mean, you know, on the way back home, let me just drive into a bookstore, just pick it up, and just leave it there until it's ready.
Well, I actually have a bookstore in town. It's my book dealer. It's the primary one that I go to, and it's a simple phone call away of I need this, and they get it for me really quickly.
There you go. Or you could sign up for Fairy Loot. There's a waiting list. Like one of my friends on TikTok, she finally got into Fairloot and finally got her books. Like it's a little extensive waiting list. I'm like, how long did you wait? And she waited over a year just to get on it.
My God.
Yeah. And you have to go on Fairloot and see their books. They're stunning.
Gotcha.
They're better than the editions that they have in Walmart or wherever. But I don't know if I can make that commitment at this moment.
Right.
So what is your whole setup when writing? People snack, people have some music on, or they'll have like a television show in the background. What's your whole setup before actually sitting down and writing?
So I have a playlist that I create for each of my books that kind of has that feel for the book. And sometimes I have a playlist for the character, if that character has a completely different feel than everything else. And so I will turn that on very loudly and have that rolling while I am writing. And if there's a certain chapter that has a certain emotion that I really need to get across, then usually I'll pick a couple of songs and put those on repeat while I'm doing it to make sure that that's what I vibe with, and that's will get me in the right mindset to help me get it from my brain into the pages.
Would that playlist be included in the book so people can experience it, or?
I do not have it in the book at this time. It's kind of like a random one that I put together on Amazon Music, and every now and then I'll add another one that comes across my discovery mix, and it's like, oh, that needs to go in there too. Let me just pop that.
So many people ask, which character was a difficult one to write about or write in regards of? I would say which chapter or scene was very difficult to write. Has there like been some that's like, I gotta get through this, or one that was like really emotional?
There is one chapter from Galen's point of view where he is going into his past and explaining some difficult things that happened to him. And it was very difficult for me to write. It ended up being a very monologue-like chapter, but there really wasn't any way I could figure out to do it otherwise because he was explaining his past. And I prefer to have a lot more than monologue. So that was a pain to work around trying to, how can I build this around that and add more to that? So that one took me a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to try and build that up so it was more than just that, as well as trying to get that emotion across that sort of conversation would have in it.
So which one was your favorite to write?
Aura was a lot easier for me to write than Galen, and there is a chapter towards the end, close to the climax, that I was expectantly waiting to hit because I really, really, really wanted to write it, and I can't panzer. I have to write in order. And so I was really, really, really wanting to get to that chapter, and when I got it, I was so happy I did, and that is probably the longest chapter in the whole book. But so it shows.
I
But
mean,
yeah, that's definitely my favorite.
You're excited to write it,
Mhm.
Obviously, all of the characters in the book is, you love each one in their own way. But which one was your favorite one, if you had to choose?
In this book, Aura is probably a lot easier to write from, and I'm able to kind of jump into her mindset a lot easier. In the next book, it's actually not Aura that is easier to jump into, but I can't really go into more detail than that.
That's fair. That's fine. So how did you come up with the familiar? Obviously, it is a fox. Did you thought of doing like a different animal or a different type of creature than a fox, or it was just like, it's going to be a fox and you're going to go from there?
It was going to be a fox because I absolutely love foxes and I had to throw it in there in some way, shape, or form. And so the idea of it being, oh, I can do that as a familiar. Let's do it that way. And so it blossomed from there because I really wanted to find a way to throw a fox in there.
I mean, we've seen dragons, we've seen like now wolves, obviously, familiars through Harry Potter, but we've never seen a fox. So this is very, very unique. You got the owl, you have the rat, you have the cat in Potter books, but never seen a fox. And this will probably stand out the most out of your books because it's like, wow, this is different. It's not like, it is a fantasy, but it's different. It hits different with people.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for your book to come out.
Well, thank you.
So did you have any arc reads for this book, or did you like keep it like close to the vest?
Kept it close, but just a close circle of friends, just because it was my baby and I was afraid to let it go further than that. And I'm generally a shy person, and I was really afraid that I would hear back from them that it was really bad, because that's the bad voice at the back of my head talking. And so I was like, let's just limit it to these couple people and just let me know what you think, but please be honest. And so I had one that I've basically bounced ideas off the whole time. And then I have a couple more that know almost nothing. And so the idea was to have different levels of people who know a certain amount, so that I get the point across. Was the foreshadowing too much? Was it too little? And have that different range, so I could know if I did what I was trying to do.
How do you feel about your book being out there now, in the next couple weeks?
I am both excited but also nervous, because I never thought this would happen, and it's finally happening.
It's people are gonna love your book. Just keep pushing it out there. I'll push it out there. It's gonna be fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
It's a big fantasy community in social media, and it's definitely gonna hit with people.
Well, thank you. The whole community has been amazing.
Yeah.
I have not been a really big person on social media for years, and so it was really nerve-wracking coming in and being like, okay, well, now I have to actually put my face out there and do the social media stuff that I haven't actually done. And everybody's been so nice and welcoming. It's been wonderful.
I mean, I'll tell you from my experience starting this, I started this back in October, so it's going to be a year and 4 months, and I completely didn't know what I was doing until I just kept doing it. Like there's one episode that lives in Spotify, and it lives there. I haven't posted it anywhere else, and I did it with my best friend, and God bless her, she did it with me. I can tell you. She said, "Yeah, it's good." I'm like, "No, don't lie to me. Tell me how it is." She was like, and she told me what she really thought of it. So it's slowly dying in Spotify. Took a break and then popped back onto this, and now I'm just doing this for fun. I'm not doing this for any other reason. Plus, meeting wonderful authors, wonderful book talkers, hearing their story and why they're a book talker, why they're an author. So I love hearing your story. It's fantastic. So obviously you have a great support system at home with, your spouse and everybody, and they're probably excited for you, right?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So with this book coming out, are you looking into the future of probably attending a convention or doing things at a bookstore once you get this on the road and ramping up?
Would like to. I have not pulled into the logistics of when, where, why, etc. I still work my full-time job, so it's a matter of working around that too. But I definitely would love to. I'll probably end up doing a signing at that bookstore that has me. I have them on speed dial. I'll probably go there first.
Like, hey, I need you to set a time for me. Make sure you get everything, the balloons, the fireworks, all that stuff. I need that time, right? So, as you know, there's been books made into TV. You got the off-campus series of What Kind of Book Was It? Tom and Fourth Wing. We already have The Housemaid out. They're doing the second one too. So my question is, if your book in the near future gets picked up for a TV or a movie or whatever, do you have people that you thought about hey, this person will make a great character for that one? Or this person can voice the familiar for this one?
I honestly have not. They've lived entirely in my head. I haven't put their faces on anybody, so I've never really thought about that. That's a good question, though.
Or you do a lot of audiobooks, right? You listen to audio, or do you just
listen to audio?
All right. Is there anyone in particular that you would love to voice the characters on audiobooks? No, I'm throwing you the hard questions now.
The issue is I'm horrible with names. The voice of Darrow in the live action, or not the live action, the graphic audio for this would be amazing for Galen, because he's got that lilting Irish accent.
Okay. The ones on the end, those Fourth Wings, or?
This is Red Rising here.
Okay.
This is the Blood and Ash over here.
Okay.
Fourth Wing is over there.
All right. So I haven't read Red Rising yet, but people are telling me to go read it. They told me to read Red Rising, and
it's going to hurt, but yes, he's very good at ripping out your soul and making you love somebody and then ouch. But it's so well written.
I can't go through that again. I can't. Like Liam, I can't. Just okay. I'm gonna get ready.
Jim Butcher had one that he built up for I think 17 books that he recently unalived, and it killed me. So
I mean, when you're invested with these characters, it's like great. We'll probably see them in the next.
That's like family. Why? Why did
exactly like when I read that in Fourth Wing, that's Liam dying. I'm like,
you're not supposed to read ahead?
No, I was like in the middle, like in that scene, and then I saw him like read, and then he died. I'm like, why? Why would you do that? And then we had Violet's mom pass away in the second one, and then on the third one, I don't remember. I think it was Ryerson's partner, right?
No, it was Imogen's best friend.
Imogen's best friend. That's right. I really can't. I can't.
They needed for Liam, he was too perfect, but also she needed a martyr because that was the only thing that was going to stir Violet.
You could trust anyone else,
but it couldn't. It had to be the innocent. He does the same thing.
I can't go through that. I'm gonna read it. You know, I don't like cliffhangers either.
Okay, have the first 3 books on hand when you start it.
Do you guys really?
Yes. The second 3 are 10 years later, so there isn't a cliffhanger at the end of the first 3.
All right, so I'm about the first 3 that I'm gonna do back to back. For some odd reason, I did Fourth Wing and Iron Flame back to back. I'm doing the same thing with Dagger and Fury Bound, and I'm doing them back to back.
That's what I'm doing with the Nyaxias, is I'm making sure I have both the duologies and the novella before I start it, because I have to know what happens. I'll be patient and wait to save myself some heartache.
There you go. So with your book, obviously you're doing a second book. So how many books do you have planned for this whole series?
3.
3 books. Okay.
I have a cat going after the stand.
Sorry. So I'm not going to ask if you thought ahead to the third book, but you probably already have an outline for that already, right?
Have skeletal outline. I know what's going to happen, and I have an idea of emotional wise what needs to happen, but I haven't gone into the deep dive detailed outline.
Okay. So we're going to be fully invested on these 3 characters. Now, are you going to like rip people's heart out with like they did with Fourth Wing and Red Rising, or are you going to try to generally keep all the same characters?
This book doesn't rip your heart out.
Okay.
I make no guarantees for later on, though.
Fair enough. Well, just be prepared for that, all right?
Okay.
So 3 books with this series. Do you think about dabbling into a different genre after you're done with these books, or you're just gonna basically focus on the whole fantasy?
I have my dystopian one on the back burner that I'd like to actually finish out once I'm done with this trilogy. I have a humorous one that I'm working on with some of my friends as more of a joke, but started as a joke, but as a things that our children have done and said, and basically a millennial's guide to parenting. But the entire thing is going to be satirical. So
I'm all for it,
because my children are absolutely crazy in the most humorous ways. I do have a COVID baby. They are something. I love it, but they're something.
Right.
So, but they have amazing stories. I have amazing stories of things that they've done. And so being able to share that is just like, I go to work. Do you know what my child did last? Oh my gosh. And it's fun. So I was like, you know what? I should just write these down. I need to write these down. This will be hilarious.
Love just sit there and just listen. Like, what my kid did. I mean, I don't have kids personally. I have a dog, and some of the stuff that he does will be like, why? And just looks at me with like, what are you talking about? So what are some of your favorite authors that you like to read? I
like a lot. I've loved Jim Butcher for a long time. Grew up on Piers Anthony and Anne McCaffrey. I have almost all of the Zodiac Academy and other books along the side of them. I love both Twisted Sisters.
Isn't Zodiac Academy like 15 books long?
21 and growing. So the 2 I'm missing right now is the first one in the Penitentiary and the first one in the Dark Bay series, only because I need to get the right cover, and the right cover is not in print anymore. So I'm trying to find the right cover to match everything else because it's got to match.
All the books have to match.
All other 19 books are the first edition, so it's got to be the same.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair.
I would buy anything Carissa Broadbent writes because her world building is absolutely amazing. I love her. It's hard to find someone I don't like, and that's actually one of the things that I like about the community on Book Talk is that I get more exposure to indie authors on Book Talk than I have anywhere else, and so yeah, I'm able to find these other books and pull these in. So I'm starting to read those too. And so I'm excited to being able to add other authors to my list and fill my bookshelf even more overflowing.
All right. So speaking about your bookshelf, so
yes.
I've asked everybody that's been on the podcast, and I have gotten different numbers. So for right now, the top number I have is over 1,700 books in one person's thing. Basically, she has a whole library to herself.
Mm-hmm.
How many books do you currently have?
Actually, haven't counted. I also have 2 totes full of books on top of what's on my bookshelf that my lovely husband actually made for me to fit into a nice little recessed part of my wall because he's amazing. But I've already filled it in a year, so he loved. I've already told him I need more and I need a bigger one, and he's so excited about that.
It's like, yes, I could play with my power tools.
God, I would not be surprised if it's around 500 or more, but I've honestly never counted. I just keep adding.
I mean, fair. Like when I DNF a book, I usually just resell it to the used bookstore, and then I use that money to buy more books that I want to read. I don't have my own books. I have like a shelf, like maybe a book cabinet or something. But the ones I like, I usually keep. All the sprayed edges, I usually keep.
So the funny thing is my husband's not really a big reader, and I've always been a big reader, and so there's always been a little bit of a joke about that between the two of us. So my parents moved a couple years ago, and we helped them move, and they have a library in their new house, like a whole study committed to books, and they had it was like 17 or 19 plus boxes of just books. And he's in the middle of carrying these in, and he turns to my dad and he's just like, I know where she gets it from now.
I mean, your parent taught you right,
Exactly.
There's no judgment here.
Exactly.
Just love my books and leave them alone.
And I'm like, see, it could be worse. I could be filling an entire room. Instead, I just have a wall right now.
You could, but that won't stop you by filling an entire room. That just means that he needs to make an addition to the house so you can store your books, or build you a she shed.
Exactly. I have brought up that option. Yes.
Want these books out of the house? Build me a she shed. I'll be happy. So your kids are old enough to read. Are they getting into reading like yourself, or they are just like back and forth with like other things?
My middle child, my daughter, is starting to get into reading like me. My son's not quite so much yet, but my daughter is starting to get there and develop her own bookshelf, which I absolutely love. And it's like, finally, I got one of them.
Yes. So what's her thing of reading? Is she like dabbling into fantasy like yourself, or does she have like a different preference?
She likes fantasy. She's really into graphic novels right now. She, of course, has Wings of Fire is all over right now, and she absolutely adores it. I got her I got her some like Neverland something graphic novels, and then I've tried a couple different ones just to give her options. And then there's this other one that I got recommended. I forget the name of it. That is about a girl who is jumping in and out of stories and has some power from that I started her on that she absolutely loves. I also introduced her to Lore Olympus, and she devoured the entire thing and loves it. She read the whole thing right off the bat, and she loved it. And I love Lore Olympus, so that was nice. So we have all of those now.
I guess I have someone to talk about books with.
She can't read a lot of what I have yet. So
exactly, but at least something that you two have in common. Something that you two can bond with. The most of stuff that you read, she can't really read yet. Not yet.
She did. She accidentally grabbed one off my shelf instead of the cubby that I had for her at one point, and I noticed her reading. It was To Bleed a Crystal Bloom by Sarah A. Parker, and I was like, no, give me that one. Let me give you something else instead. You can't read that one yet. You're not old enough.
Did you like was like almost through halfway of the book, or did you just?
No, she was only like a chapter or two in, but she was like into it, which sucked because she gets more into graphic novels than actual reading novels. And so I love that she was really getting into it, but it was like, do that
Not
one.
yet. One day I'll give you the books to read, but not quite yet.
Yes.
So, do you dabble into like thriller or dark romance or like dark fantasy or?
Little bit. I've gone through Gothicana. I have Caravel. It's on my reading list. I just haven't got to it yet. I do have the beautiful Christmas white and red ones, and I'm afraid to open it because it's so pretty and all packed in. I have actually funny story. So I went to a groomer for my cat because I have a Persian that is not the best at grooming himself. Anywho, so I went to a groomer for the first time, and we got talking books because I can't help myself. And so she's like, oh, well, my friend gave me this book or told me to read this book. So I bought it. And then I looked at the trigger warnings and I was like, why is there trigger warning? I don't know if I want to read this. And I was like, well, what is it? And she's like, well, it's Alka. I'm like, Alchemize? Yeah, that one. I'm like, oh, that's supposed to be really good. I don't know if I want to read it. You want it? Sure. So I ended up with
You know how many times I picked up that book at the store and did not get it? I looked at it, then put it back. Usually that's my thing. I'll pick up a book like multiple times and put it back on the shelf until I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna grab it and read it.
Yeah, it's hard to decide because there's so many, and it's like that looks good, and that looks good, and that looks good, and I can't buy the whole store. So what am I gonna go with this time?
So there's obviously you heard of the book outlet, right? Book outlet.
Yes.
So I don't know if they're still doing it, but they're doing a $5.99 sale right now on all sprayed edges and fiction books.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't hear from me. Just in case if your husband, your spouse comes by and sees a huge box on, on the stoop.
Mum's the word.
Right? So out of all your books that you read, excluding the one that you wrote, what would be the first book that you would recommend to a first-time reader that wants to get into fantasy?
Well, it depends. Are they wanting to go the romantasy route, or do they not want to go the romantasy route? Because if they want to go the romantasy route, I don't want to start them on too deep of something because that might scare them away. So I usually recommend either Fourth Wing or Akatar. If they don't want to go to the romantasy route, then I usually recommend either Stormfront from Jim Butcher or Red Rising by Pierce Brown.
All right. And which one is like your pride and joy, excluding your book? Obviously, your book is going to be your pride and joy above anything else. But which book would be like the one a step below that you're like would never stop recommending?
It's hard to pick a favorite because I've read so many. I really think everyone should try the Jim Butcher series because his ability to put foreshadowing in that you just don't catch until later is amazing. The amount of times that I've gone through and gotten several books in and then had to restart because I found something and it's like, wait a minute, and then had to start again before I went to the next couple books. Yeah, he's amazing.
So one last question before we end this, and it's a question I ask everybody. I just want to see what your stance is on this. I know my opinion doesn't matter, but I know how I feel about it. So do you crack the spine or you do not crack the spine?
You do not crack the spine. If you crack the spine, that's like murder. If someone cracks the spine, like, oh my gosh, all of mine are perfect for a reason, okay? And I do actively have read them. Oh, this is my red pile.
All right. Because I have had people who crack spines, like more than one on
Oh,
here.
yeah.
And it just hurts me. Well, they're
It
not
hurts my
doing it.
soul.
They're not doing it. It's they love the book so much and it's well read
Yes.
that, that's the only way to do it.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not innocent of cracking spine when I was before like getting into books. I will be the person that would like actually snap or just fold the page back or dog ear or fold the page over because I wasn't a big reader. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna fold this over. I don't have a bookmark or whatever. Now I do take care of my books.
My oldest ones are the only ones that have troublesome spines just because I've read them so many times. But for the most part, all my spines are good because I can't break them.
Fair. I mean, I accidentally folded pages over because I wasn't careful with my book. I looked at it. I'm like, what the hell? So I literally took that book, like tried to press it down and then put like 5 other books on top. Mm-hmm. So it could like freeze back down. It's probably not going to be the same ever again.
My cat knocked over, I keep water at my bedside at night, and it knocked over my water onto my copy of Songbird and Heart of Stone.
Yeah.
So I dried it out as best I could, and I kept pressure on it, and it's still just not perfect, and it hurts. Luckily, I had the dust cover off because I leave that off when I read them. But it's just like, oh my gosh, why?
Like, what? You just have to get another book, another copy. That is your read copy. Now you have your unread copy that you'll just show off.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I want to thank you for being on the podcast. This is really fun. I can't wait for your book to come out. If you want to put out your handle, where they could find you, whoever's watching, and the date of your book and where to get it.
So you can find me on both TikTok and Instagram at Allie Taylor Books. And my book, Faeborn, is available. You can find it on, Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And I believe it's bookstores.com that you can order through local bookstores. And the ebook as well as the hardcover and paperback are all available for pre-order now.
Again, thank you for coming on. This was fantastic. And whenever you have book 2 out, I would love to have you back on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Definitely.